कुछ होने में और बहुत कुछ होने में इतना सा फर्क है, एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में कि अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है, वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी कि एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानकुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया।
Hello and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining this webinar called Business Opportunity Over Chai. Business Opportunity Over Chai is a webinar series presented by the management of Franchise India every day at 12 o'clock in the afternoon with an aim to introduce you to a new business opportunity. Every day we bring exciting and high potential franchise business from across the industry. Over the past 27 years, Franchise India has proudly helped thousands of investors find the right franchise business opportunity and start their entrepreneurial journey. Franchise India, as world's largest integrated franchise solution company, our role is to make sure that your investment is safe by taking an informed decision and your journey from an investor to entrepreneur is smooth and successful. The objective of this webinar is to give you a direct opportunity to connect with the brand founders, the key stakeholders, understand the business opportunity in detail, and openly ask any sort of question which you may have related to franchise, investment, growth, before you take the actual decision. In today's webinar, we are going to talk about a brand called the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. In short, we also call it as CBTL. The Bean and Tea Leaf is a globally recognized premium cafe brand known for its handcrafted coffee, specialty tea, and signature ice-blended drinks. Founded in 1963 in Los Angeles, USA, it is one of the oldest and the most established in the world. The brand is built around delivering a high-quality experiential cafe environment where customer can enjoy a wide range of beverages, from freshly brewed coffees and espresso-based drinks to rare whole leaf teas sourced from leading tea gardens across the globe. CBTL is particularly known for its innovation in beverages, especially its eye-blended ranges, which helped redefine cold coffee culture. CBTL positioned itself as a premium yet accessible lifestyle cafe, focusing on quality ingredients, customization, and a relaxed, community-driven ambience. Along with the beverage, the brand also offers a curated menu of bakery items, snacks, and light meals, enhancing the overall cafe experience. In India, CBTL is being scaled through Ekagra, combining a global brand and strength with the local market expertise. Together, they create a differentiated cafe experience centered around the affordable premium indulgence, offering high quality beverage, curated food, and the warm experiential space. To talk more about this, I'm joined by Dinesh, who is the CFO of this brand, along with my colleague Asif, who is the key account manager for this brand, leading pan India expansion. But before I, invite Dinesh ji to talk more about the brand and the business opportunity, I would like to inform all the viewers that you also have opportunity to ask questions related to the brand or the business directly to the stakeholders. Dinesh ji is the CFO of this brand. He's going to help us with all the queries that you would raise. My request is to please keep on posting your queries into the Q&A box, and we will take them up during the webinar. Now, may I welcome Dinesh ji to this webinar, and I will now request him to let's get started with a little bit of your intro, and then we'll move on to the presentation part. Yeah, over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Bharat, for this introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Dinesh. I head the finance and legal function here at Ekagra. We are the master franchise and development rights holder for Pan India for the brand Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. I'm joined with Naman Mehrotra. He's our BDN projects head and helps us in terms of our scale-up plan in India. So, yeah, so like I'll give a brief overview through a presentation about the brand, about Ekagra, about the cafe space and our investment model. So, Bharat, shall we start with that?
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Yeah, can you please change the slide? I can see a blank screen.
Just a moment, it is getting projected.
No, it got disconnected.
Just, yeah, just give me. It should be visible now.
It is visible, but not at the full screen. If you could just make it to the full screen. Yeah.
It's full screen now.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, yeah. So as I mentioned, Ekagra is the master franchise holder. The brand name is Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. I'll talk about the partnership of Ekagra, CBTL, the cafe space, and the presence and success of the brand till date in India. So I'll start with a small video about the bean selection and roasting process at Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. Yeah. So see, as Bharat has mentioned, the brand is quite old. They have their own unique uh, the coffee roasting experience, the bean selection process, and have kind of established their expertise in this space. It's originated in 1963 in Los Angeles, and like it's more than 60 plus years old. And have kind of expanded throughout the world with 1,200 plus outlets worldwide across 24 markets. So it dates back prior to Starbucks. So Starbucks kind of started almost 8 years after CBTL had kind of started. And the brand CBTL is the originator, inventor of ice blended beverages. Uh, we at Ekagra have kind of taken a mandate to kind of scale up the brand in India. Uh, Founded by entrepreneur Pranay Sureka. He's an avid investor, CA, CFA by profession, by qualification, and has kind of this is the second entrepreneur stint of Pranay. There is matlab, there are a lot of investments which Pranay does, and there is a solar power plant which is operated out of Ahmedabad. Okay. He is joined with Vikram Nagpal, who is the chief business officer. Okay. And Vikram kind of brings the CBTL experience on the table. He has been operating the CBTL brand for more than 15 years in India. He was the one who has kind of brought the brand to India way back in 2012. And also we have Prashant Kumar. He's the chief strategy officer with immense 22 plus years of experience across QSR industry and has run KFC, Pizza Hut outlets for North and West at Devyani International. So Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf currently has 40 plus outlets in India. 27 are in the Punjab Chandigarh region where it originally started and kind of commands a premium over there. It beats Starbucks in terms of revenue. One of the franchisee on an average basis does 1 lakh plus ADS across 11 stores. And some stores kind of cross 1.5 lakh of daily store sales. Plus, there are 6 stores which are at airport and like does very good volume at the airports. Those are operated by TFS. And earlier, the brand has been present on key locations, Ambience Malls, Saket Select City, and used to do very good numbers erstwhile. In terms of cafe space, so as we kind of know, India is the like fastest growing economy. There is like with urbanization, there is aspiration in the middle income group, and is the third largest consumption market in the world. And within India, the cafe market space is expected to grow by 13.2% uh, year on year going forward. And we see a huge demand in this space, in the cafe space in India, and largely driven through the premiumization. People are becoming more aware of specialty coffee. Plus, the eating out occasions have kind of largely increased. There are a lot of occasions which are created, let it be meetings, other occasions outside, which are kind of driving this demand. Plus, India is a tea drinking nation and coffee consumption is quite low compared to developed economies. So, average individual in India kind of drinks 30 cups in a year compared to global 200 cups. So, there is a huge headroom in this space, which is what we want to capture a bit of it. And yeah, as mentioned, the demand in cafe is largely driven through the increased discretionary spending, more urbanization, aspiration towards specialty coffee, uh, and premium cafes, and the increasing eating out occasions. The key differentiator CBTL brings is first on the product itself. It's very coffee forward and has a immense expertise in this space. And the coffee is like most loved by the customers. And we have seen a very good historically, internationally also, it has a very high repeat. And in India also over the last couple of years, we have seen a very increased sales coming from our repeat customers. The brand brings its legacy dating back to 1963, originated in LA. And from a product point of view, as I had mentioned, the ice blended is a trademarked product and most loved product among our various offerings. Along with this, one key aspect which Ekagra has kind of brought in is to fill the space of providing fresh food to customers. Particularly in case of chained cafes, Starbucks, Third Wave, Blue Tokai, what we see is largely it is the display food which is like heated and given. And we wanted to kind of break that and provide a holistic experience to the customer and have kind of worked a lot on our food menu. The food menu has been curated by Master Chef uh, Judge Ajay Chopra, and has been kind of the products have kind of worked out very well, and we see almost 35% of our sales coming from the food and desserts menu, and the balance kind of comes out of beverages. So it's a very good share to have in a cafe. On the beverages side, the signature espresso beverages are the most loved one, followed with the ice blended beverages. And there is a whole uh, variety of beverages which is provided in terms of coffee, the signature espresso beverages, cold brews, ice blended, the various formats of pour over, French press. Uh, so the whole variety is kind of put on table, and coffee bean and tea leaf kind of brings the expertise in tea also, the premium tea, and there is a big variety in terms of black tea, herbal tea, which is part of the menu. Few images of our store, and the objective here is like are being sorted with the beverage, food, and is to give the holistic, very good emotive experience to the customers. Uh, and that's how we have kind of designed our cafe. Uh, these are few images, and I'll take you through in subsequent slide through a store video. Plus, the whole customer journey is kind of taken care in terms of various touch points. Uh, so, like, let it be wireless charging, Wi-Fi, calling button, private dining area, the team training, and we have seen very good response from customers' review across the platforms. I'll take you through one of our store video. This is Malcha Mark in Delhi. So, some key information about our success till date. So, as I mentioned, 40 outlets across 3 regions. Out of that, around 27 are sub-franchisees, as I have mentioned, which have been operating all this while. Our customer retention ratio is very good. Some of the outlets have 65% of sales coming from repeat, and on an average, it is 51% of the sales coming from the repeat customers. Owing to our food offering and variety of beverages and tea, we see very good uh, items per order. So on an average, around 3 items are there per bill, which kind of increases our average order value and thereby drives the sales. We have a strong membership program, and it's a paid membership program. And in spite of it being paid, we have kind of seen uh, very good traction, and till date we have kind of enrolled 5,000 members, and the repeat ratio of members is much higher, and that is what is kind of drives the revenue. In terms of channel mix, largely it is dine-in. coming from the cafe experience, 72% of the sales is dine-in. And as I mentioned, 35% comes from food, 62 is beverage, and then 3% is balance retail and other items. Yeah. And in terms of association with the community, we make it a point that we tie up with NGOs and kind of recognize individuals who are kind of operating in that space and contributing socially. So every new store, we kind of bring and recognize those individuals uh, and bring the NGO kids, take them through the store experience and give a good experience of the store. Plus, there are a lot of events which are carried on a continuous basis at our stores. Uh, it could be painting, music jam, craft sessions, and other things. Lastly, the technology adoption at the store, that's our like core point and which we want to further improve and improve. All the systems are kind of integrated, POS, the payment gateways, CRM, BI, which kind of gives a sharper insights for us to kind of act timely and provide much better experience to the customers. Yeah. So next I'm going to talk about the investment model, but before that, Bharat, should we take up if there are any questions about the brand or about Ekagra?
No, yeah, I mean, we have a question like, is it open for Dhaka and Chittagong of Bangladesh as well?
No, so as of now, so Dhaka, Bangladesh is operated through different franchises. We have the Master India franchisee rights. So currently the focus is the Indian Republic.
Right. Thank you so much, Shubhita Saha. Hope that answers your question. But at the same point of time, I mean, we already have discussed. Now we will now be moving on to the franchise investment model exploration. So, in case if still someone have any question related to the brand or the brand so far, you please keep on sharing your queries in the Q&A. And I also can see a few hands-on. Deepak Kumar has raised his hand. My request is to please, sir, keep on posting your queries in the chat or the Q&A, and we will take them up. Okay, Neerja Shah has asked, are you ready to give area developer rights for Mumbai or Maharashtra?
So, as part of our current expansion, we are focusing on North and West, and Mumbai is something which we have already entered. Uh, there are certain sub-franchise stores and company-operated stores. So, as of now, I would say Mumbai, from a region development rights point of view, that would be difficult. But other markets will be open to kind of evaluate. So, Delhi, NCR, Gurgaon, Punjab, Chandigarh, the North region, and Mumbai, Pune, Maharashtra region is something which we have kind of already entered, and that other regions will be kind of open to evaluate.
Okay, great. But still, in case if anyone would like to know about it, you can connect with Asif. Asif is my colleague from Headquarter Franchise India. He's gonna facilitate rest of all requests. Asif, you could just share your number in the chat box.
Yeah,
Okay.
and one thing I would
Sure,
like
I'm
to
sharing
clarify
them.
here is that this is what I mentioned about the development rights, but a unit franchise store or maybe a cluster of 3, 4 stores that we are always open. But exclusive right for a region is something which I have clarified. But yeah, if there is any interest in terms of kind of taking a franchise of a single store or 3, 4 stores, then that is very much on the table, even
Right.
for
There's a
Mumbai.
question. Akash Sinha, can we open a franchise in Mumbai? I think
Yeah,
he's looking for a single store.
yeah, we can do
We
that.
can explore. We can explore.
Fantastic. Akash, so yeah, we are open for the single unit franchise. I mean, you can connect with Asif. Asif has just shared his number in the chat box. You're requested to please connect with him after this webinar, and he's going to help you further. Yeah, that's it. So let's move on to the franchise investment model,
Sure,
please.
sure. So I'll talk about the investment model. And uh, so one thing it's important here is that the investment model which we are putting forward is a FICO model, franchisee invested and company operated. So the entire operations would be managed by Ekagra. Okay. And the franchisor is to participation is towards the investment towards the capex. And in return, it's a revenue share which the franchisee earns. So I'll take you through the key features of the investment model. So we operate three formats. This is a snapshot of our typical cafe format. Then the other two formats are like flagship, which is a larger format premium store, like more than 2,500 square feet, and the other one is kiosk, which is like up to 800 square feet. But cafe format like will be part of our 80% of our expansion, which is typically 1,000 to 1,500 square feet stores, requiring an investment of 1.25 CR plus GST. Now, this investment includes the entire capex, including the franchise fee and the spend towards leasehold, interiors, furniture, equipments, and all the aspects of bringing the store into operation. Uh, in return, there is a revenue share is what we are offering in the range of 8 to 9% of the revenue, which in a way kind of gives more than 18% of IRR on a realistic revenue estimates, and which in turn is close to 3.6 years of payback. And the agreement period for the store is 9 years. So 3.6 years you get the full payback, and then entirely it's the return on the investment which kind of continues. And to safeguard if any downside, we kind of provide a minimum guarantee of 12% on the investment amount. And this is something which I feel is not there in a typical any franchise investment model. And but from a partnership approach point of view, we want to kind of safeguard any downside just in case. And from that perspective, we kind of offer a minimum guarantee of 12% on the initial investment. As I had mentioned, the entire operations would be managed by Ekagra, which would mean the lease deed would be done by Ekagra, the rentals, the salaries, and everything would be kind of taken care by Ekagra. Revenue share, initial 4 years is 9% of the revenue, and the remaining 5 years it would be 8% of revenue. Uh, and post 5 years, there will be a refurbishment requirement for the upkeep of the store, which will be close to 20% of the investment amount. So these are key features of the investment and the return. I'll just take you through some scenarios also, and then we'll be open for questions. Now, like one of the scenario, what happens at the end of the lease term? So there were like 2, 3 situations in that case. So we are talking about the 9 years lease. Typically, it's a 9 years lease. In some cases, it could be 12 years. But after the lease kind of ends, uh, we kind of provide a refurbish our aim is to kind of get the lease renewed. And if the lease gets renewed, there is a refurbishment requirement which will kind of pitch in. And post that refurbishment, the all the other remaining things kind of continue in terms of revenue share earning for the franchisee. If the lease doesn't get renewed, then the of the assets, 90% of the WDV is kind of paid off. And uh, in case there is a relocation to a nearby store, in that case, the relocation expenses won't be borne by franchisee, and then the revenue share kind of continues. In case of exit within this 9 years, so we have a 3 years lock-in during which there can't be any exit. And post 3 years, the franchisee, if need be, can kind of exit and we'll kind of pay 90% of the WDV to the franchisee, and this can be kind of closed. And Ekagra has a buyback option. Okay. Uh, and but at the same time, in that buyback, we kind of ensure there is a minimum 16% IRR provided to the investor. Yeah. That's all from me, and would be happy to kind of take questions which we have.
Right. Thank you so much, Dinesh, for the detailed presentation. Everyone, we are now open for the question. In case if anyone have, you can start putting it into the Q&A box. But if you really look into the Indian cafe space closely today, I mean, it is one of the one of those rare markets where the demand is exploding, but the penetration is still very low. Today, an average Indian, as Dinesh had already said that, an Indian, the average Indian consumes almost like 30 cups of coffee a year versus 200 globally, which tells you how underdeveloped the habit still is. And that's exactly where the opportunity lies. At the same time, income are rising, urban lifestyles are evolving, and the people are stepping out more for meetings, work, and me time, which is naturally increase the coffee visits. What's interesting is that the coffee is no longer, just a kind of beverage. It is becoming a lifestyle and a daily ritual. Add to that the fact that the organized cafe chains are growing very fast, yet are still concentrated to the top cities, leaving a massive gap in tier two and emerging markets. Plus, with the delivery, the digital ordering and experiences-driven formats like kiosk and the drive-throughs coming in, the business is becoming even more scalable. So this is just not about selling coffee. It is about capturing a long-term consumer habit shift. Moreover, builds a strong brand presence, and the right location today is essential, locking a future demand for the next 10, 15 years. Right. I'm also joined now by Ms. Sonia Chaudhary. She's the Managing Director, Franchise India Group. I mean, before we move on, take more question, I would also like her to share her remarks on this business opportunity.
Thank you so much, Bharat. And Dinesh, thank you for coming on the webinar and presenting this opportunity to our investors. So friends, I'll request all of you, please put your questions. I was reading through some of the questions. We'll be happy to answer these questions for all of you. Having said that, we've also worked in depth in terms of how our unit economics of the outlet looks like. So we'll be happy to discuss with you one-to-one with serious investors. So just to get started, I'll also, friends, summarize the entire opportunity. So it's a great opportunity with CBTL, and Franchise India, I would say, has been working with CBTL right from the initial days of their entry in India market. And if you look at the overall opportunity, what I heard Bharat also talk about, today the cafe culture trend in India is becoming very, very big. While as a industry or category, we are still lesser in terms of our per capita consumption. But I would also say that we have come a long way the last 10 to 15 years with per capita consumption, which is increasing with new audience, younger cohort, which is today a very big TG for this. And it is no more an occasion, but a part of the lifestyle. So the approach that we are following at CBTL is largely a cluster-centric approach, where a larger focus is two bigger regions in India, which is north and west of India. And these are also the markets where we have highest concentration of our locations, which is 40 locations with a high cluster centered around, I would say, up north of India. Now, the overall opportunity is investment-wise about 1.25 crores. There are two components of this investment. One is the initial investment in the infrastructure, civil work, and the other is the equipment. It also includes the franchise fee component. So all these three components put together makes an investment of 1.25 crores with the average size that we have just 1,000 to 1,500 square feet of space. with a little bit variation if the size of the outlet goes a little higher or little less. But that's the investment that we would do. The entire operations are managed by the CBTL team. They've also de-risked their franchise partners on downside, where there's a minimum guarantee of 12%, which is offered by the company. And at the same time, our partners will also have an opportunity for an upside through a revenue share structure, which is anything between 7 to 9%. And I'll let maybe Dinesh talk more about it. So the revenue share is comparatively higher in the initial years of our operation and goes lesser towards the last 5 years. As we understand, the investor by that time would have recovered the investment. The entire operating expenses are borne by the company, which includes your salary of the staff, your electricity, the food cost, and rent, which also forms a very big component of day-to-day operations, is also borne by the company. Now, the other interesting aspect is in many cases, most of the brands also, even when they're running a franchise and company operated structure, the deposit is paid by the company. In this case, we have CBTL, which will also pay the entire initial deposit to the property, whether it's a mall or a high street. So this is overall our business model in fact looks like. What I find very interesting in this model is also the food component. If you look at Indian consumers, all of us, we like to complement our beverages, whether that's tea or coffee with a snack, and which is quite different from the global food consumption trends that we see in global markets. And if you look at the average, I would say international and also Indian companies today in this segment, comparatively food, does not form a very large component of their overall ratio of food and beverage, because in most of these companies, the food offering is largely industrial, right? So, and in this case, we have a food offering which is specially curated by the master chef, and hence the overall offering makes the composition of our ratio of our beverage and food very interesting, which is 35%, which I would say is higher when compared to the industry standards when I do a peer-to-peer comparison, including other global brands. And so, friends, what we'll do is we'll take some questions from you and specifically on the business model. And if you want to go a little deeper into understanding, we'll request you to come on one-to-one call. Asif, you see on the call, is leading the project, and he'll take up any one-to-one meetings that we would want to perhaps do. So, Dinesh, my first question, I think some questions I heard we've already answered, and I see a lot of questions also coming in. First and foremost, what I understand, we're looking at two larger markets, which is north and west of India. So my question is related to the location. What is the strategy that we are following? So what is the ideal location profile in terms of the locations that we want to do is one of my questions with respect to locations. And second, which are the markets between north and west that we want to prioritize in the initial phase?
Yeah, sure. Naman, you want to take
Dinesh,
up?
yeah. So hi, Sonia.
Hi, Dinesh.
Thank you so much. Uh, so as you already mentioned that there are two major regions where we want to penetrate this year. One is north and the second one is west. When we say north, we have already started penetrating in Delhi NCR, which is Gurgaon, Faridabad, Ghaziabad, and Noida. Having said so, there are still a lot of opportunity around this NCR territory as well. We would like to explore franchisee opportunity in Ghaziabad, Faridabad, and all these NCR, Delhi, big Delhi region. And from here, starting to Punjab, whatever belt comes in between, like Rohtak, Panipat, and that entire stretch, we are happy to explore an opportunity. And then from this side till Lucknow, whatever cities are coming in between, like Agra, Kanpur, Allahabad, Varanasi, Lucknow, these are the major cities where we want to penetrate first. So you got it? So typically, if you ask me, I can mention the name of the cities as well. If you want to mention it in the chat box, I can do that as well. Otherwise, these are the major cities where we want to penetrate first before going to any tier three cities. And
Great.
in these cities, we want to come in the most affluent catchment. Either that's a residential or a market area, that will depend upon where the opportunity is coming. So we are also going to parallelly working towards the area and getting the location and sharing it with you guys and with the expected investor. And at the same time, if they have some location, they can obviously
Sure. And this would also include the highway locations, right? So if we have an access or the investor has an access to a highway location, we will be open for looking
talk
at
about the West. We'll be open for.
highway locations.
Yeah, we are.
Great. I mean, I have a question which I also want to take up. Since the entire operating expenses, deposit, rental is borne by the brand, in case we choose a
Right.
location where the franchise partner owns the property, so he gets the
Okay.
monthly rental and the deposit towards that in the property that we choose and select.
See, Sonia, as I mentioned yesterday also, in on the highway sort of properties, the setup will be very different. And if you talk about a location in the city, in the major area of the city, yes, that's gonna happen.
Okay. All right.
So the setup will be, so it's not gonna be rental plus MG. There will be a setup of a minimum guarantee which will have a amount of the 12% and a certain rental as well. It's not gonna be the same market rental which is gonna go
I
as an
agree.
MG.
Correct. That is
Yeah.
how
So
this
it
has
will
to
be like
be
50,
bundled.
60%. Yeah. So that is what's, but not on highway. Highway is going to be a different, very different setup because highway. So I'll give you a very clear, simple example. If somebody today come to me and say that I've got a shop on a highway of Punjab, I'm not gonna give him rental because on the highway the brands itself get the investment from the developer. We get directly from the developer. We don't have to have a franchisee partner in between because any which ways the brands get investment on highways. So highway it's going to be very different setup. It will depend upon the highway location to location. For example, if something comes up from Gurgaon to Jaipur or Gurgaon to Mumbai Expressway, would love to explore because I know it's not going to be an investment property for me. So an investor has got a property, I would be ready to explore that.
Sure. Great. I'll also take up some questions. I think I'll answer that. Not too sure if it has been. There's somebody from Mohali, Amit Aditya, you've asked if you can open in Mohali. Definitely, that's a location which is on our radar. Bombay, definitely. So the entire north of India is something we are looking at. One question which I want to ask, I also understand we have certain locations which might be available with us to be transferred to a franchisee. So, do we want to talk about these locations? Do we have these locations, company operated, which are available to be transferred?
Yes, Dinesh would be the best person.
So, Sonia, that's not our primary requirement, or that is not what we are looking for. Basically, yesterday, what I mentioned is that if there is a request which comes up, we can evaluate. But we have not kind of internally thought of that these are the locations we want to kind of transfer. So, primarily, our objective is to kind of partner for new locations. And basis that partnership in future, if like let's say they want to kind of take up an existing location also, that can be evaluated.
Sure. So I'll take up another questions on the investment, which is a question from Neerja Shah. Is the entire amount of 2.5 crores? So perhaps I think maybe I can extend to that and say if we broadly want to break up that 1.25, under what heads would that investment fall?
Right. So, yeah, it's first thing, it's entirely towards capex. Okay. Secondly, in terms of breakup, I would say around 30 to 35% is towards leasehold improvements, which would include the civil, interior, HVAC works, which are kind of carried out at the stores. Another 30 to 35% would be towards the equipment parts, and there is a standard set of equipments which we have to kind of deploy, and around 70% of them are kind of imported, which would include the coffee machines, the blenders, the grinders, refrigeration equipments, and other things. So that carries the equipment part. Around that would be around 10 to 15% is furniture, which is kind of spent, and another 15 to 20% is towards a franchise fee. So that's a broad breakup, and Of course, when there is a serious interest, we can kind of dwell into further details
Sure.
required.
Okay, I think I'll take up in a question. I think that's again from Neja Shah with respect to the sales. Because the investors are looking at the downside, the risking, which is done through minimum guarantee. At the same time, there has to be an upside for them, and we have a revenue share. So one question I'll take up is specific to a store in Bombay. I think which is a question how old these stores are and the average revenue the Bombay location is doing. And extending on to the same question, I will also say if you can give our viewers guidance in terms of the average monthly, annual sales,
Yeah.
depending on, I would say, a grade or a mall or a high street. So, what is your guidance on the sales? And second is the Bombay location, how old it is, and the average sales the locations do.
Yeah. So location specific sales, I'll definitely will not be able to share. So Bombay locations, they are like hardly two locations. They are kind of around 7, 8 years old, but those are kind of captive locations, not high street locations as such. So for high street and the major malls, the space is kind of wide open. From a sales point of view, what we have seen is on an average, around 25 to 28 lakhs is the sales what we kind of generate from each store. And upside is like huge. There are around 3 to 4 stores in our kitty. Again, same store size and experience, which does 45 plus, 45 lakhs plus. So yeah, that's the range.
I'll see some questions which perhaps have not been answered. Abhishek, your question is on the minimum guarantee. Yes, there's a minimum guarantee which is on the investment of 1.25 crores. And whichever is higher, so if the revenue share is higher, then you get the revenue share. But if the minimum guarantee which is there to de-risk your investment is done by the company, so maybe every few months this would be reconciled to see where we stand. And any confidential information, friends, we don't want to share very openly on this forum, only with serious investors who want to go a little deeper to understand the opportunity, where we also would like to understand your profile, your timelines to start the business. We'll be happy to delve into a deeper discussion. So, any other questions, friends? If you have, you may please go ahead and write. We will have Asif who will reach out to you to answer these questions and maybe arrange a meeting. I see some more questions coming in what I'm saying. So let me read that if you want to take that up. Will the brand look out for a location once the LOI is signed? So that's a question, Dinesh. We'll work with our investors to scout a location for them.
So we are kind of actively looking out for locations, right? And as Naman has mentioned, we already have like 6 to 7 stores pipeline under our kitty, and every month we kind of keep adding to our new store flywheel. And yeah, so if there is a location which comes from an investor, that can be evaluated. Plus, we already have a selected list of locations which can be kind of shared with a serious investor.
Wonderful. I'm just answering somebody on the. Wonderful. So, friends, thank you so much for being with us. Any further questions, we'll be happy to take them one-to-one over a meeting or a call. And before we close, Dinesh, I'll request you, Naman, any closing remarks that you want to do before we close the webinar?
No, so thanks everyone for joining. So as Sonia and everyone has kind of briefed, the space is very exciting, the cafe space. We see huge potential. People kind of are choosing cafes over a fine dine or a casual dine experience. And that is where we are kind of filling the food aspect of it. And we have seen very good customer response. Yeah, and from an investment model point of view, we kind of approach it with the partnership model, and that's where we have designed in such a way that everyone kind of wins out of the model, and securing the downside, which is where the MG or the IRR downside is kind of we are securing, which I don't think in any franchise investment model that would be there. So it's kind of risk averse. The risk-free returns are kind of guaranteed, and the upside is not capped. So from that perspective, I'd say that it's a very good model to kind of proceed with, and happy to kind of discuss in detail. Whosoever is interested over a separate call.
Thanks, Dinesh. Naman, anything that you want to add?
Naman, you're on mute.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for your time, and really looking forward to have few of you guys to get on board ASAP. And I would urge you guys to go and have an experience of our cafe, see the difference, what we are putting up, the effort the team is putting up to make it a very different experiential cafe, not the another cafe which is getting open in India. So that's what makes us different, and feel it, and then we will create a win-win situation for both of us.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dinesh and Naman. And friends, I
Yeah.
would second that. In fact, the entire team has worked on the model. They have seen how the cafe culture in India has evolved over the last, I would say, 1.5 decades of their presence. And they've also continuously tweaked on the business model to make it attractive for their investors. And I'll request anyone who needs more information, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to conduct meetings with you one-to-one. Thank you, and Bharat, over to you.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dinesh and Naman, for coming here today, sharing a great opportunity to the Indian market and the consumers. We already have shared, Asif has already shared his number in the chat box. I understand that you may have a lot of questions pending, right? So of course you can get in touch with Asif, and Asif is going to facilitate with you with the brand team, and you can get all your answers. So that's it for the day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. See you tomorrow once again with a new brand, and we'll explore another business opportunity. Till then, take care.